KANU party leader Gideon Moi has again emerged and released a dossier to President William Ruto's administration. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to Kenya Lens Media, where we give you news updates as they break. Now, the former Baringo Senator Gideon Moi has condemned the growing use of inflammatory political rhetoric, ethnic profiling, and also divisive political remarks, warning that such statements pose a serious threat to Kenya's national unity as the country moves closer to the 2027 general election. In a statement issued on Wednesday, July 29, 2026, the KANU chairman expressed concern over what he described as an increasing trend in which some political leaders are using language capable of dividing Kenyans along political, regional, and also communal lines in pursuit of political advantage. According to Moi, such rhetoric is not only regrettable but also dangerous because it risks undermining the country's hard-earned national cohesion at a time when political activity is steadily intensifying ahead of the next general election. His statement comes at a politically sensitive moment, with leaders across the country already positioning themselves for the 2027 elections. As the political campaigns gradually gather momentum, public debate has become increasingly heated, prompting growing calls for responsible leadership and restraint from those occupying public office. And in his message in social media, Gideon Moi said, and I'll quote, "The continued use of borderline inflammatory language, ethnic profiling, and also reckless utterances by political leaders seeking to divide Kenyans along political, regional, and also communal lines is regrettable. Such utterances undermine our national cohesion and threaten peaceful coexistence, especially as we head to the 2027 general elections. Indeed, our greatest strength as a people lies in our diversity, and therefore political competition should never turn fellow citizens into enemies, nor should differences in opinion become the basis for communities to distrust one another or for our nation to descend into division. More importantly, political leaders bear a higher moral responsibility to exercise restraint and also uphold dignity in public discourse. We must continue upholding unity as our shield and also greatest defense in moments of challenge, and collectively commit ourselves to peaceful, stable, and dangerous Kenya." This is a message that Gideon Moi, wrote, and it was directed at William Ruto's government, because some of the people and some of the close allies to President William Ruto have shown or have said publicly in a way that is suggesting that they want to bring division or the ethnic divisions in Kenya. Addressing the issue directly, Gideon Moi said that continued use of what is described as borderline inflammatory language and ethnic profiling should concern every citizen. He argued that political competition must never be allowed to weaken the bonds that unite the country or create unnecessary suspicion between communities. The former Senate emphasized that leaders have a responsibility to protect national unity rather than exploit political differences for short-term electoral gain, and in his view, divisive rhetoric risks creating an atmosphere in which citizens begin viewing one another through ethnic or political identities instead of recognizing their shared national interests. Moi warned that statements capable of inflaming ethnic tensions undermine peaceful coexistence and also threaten the country's stability, particularly during a period when preparations for the 2027 general election are expected to dominate the national politics. He stressed that Kenya has spent decades building institutions and promoting peaceful coexistence among its many communities, making it essential for political leaders to exercise caution in both their public speeches and also political campaigns. Central to Gideon Moi's message was the belief that Kenya's diversity should be celebrated rather than manipulated. He described the country's ethnic, regional, and cultural diversity as one of its greatest national strengths, arguing that it should never become a political tool used to divide citizens or deepen existing differences. According to the KANU chairman, unity has always been one of the Kenya's greatest assets, enabling citizens from different backgrounds to live together despite political competition and differing opinions. He therefore cautioned against attempts to transform legitimate political disagreements into conflicts between communities. Moi also appealed to politicians to conduct themselves with restraint, dignity, and respect throughout the country's political processes. He argued that democratic competition is healthy and necessary, but warned that it should never reach a point where fellow citizens begin treating one another as enemies simply because they support different political leaders or hold different political views. In his statement, Moi maintained that political disagreements should remain focused on ideas, policies, and also leadership choices rather than becoming a source of hostility between communities. Therefore, he noted that differences of opinion are normal in any democracy, but should never provide justification for promoting distrust or division among Kenyans. The former senator further emphasized that elected leaders and other public officials carry a higher moral responsibility because their words often influence public attitudes and also shape national conversations. And for that reason, he urged political leaders to exercise greater responsibility whenever addressing supporters or speaking on matters with the potential to affect national cohesion. Moi said leaders should instead encourage respectful dialogue, peaceful encouragement, and mutual understanding, particularly during politically charged periods when emotions can easily run high. As he concluded his statement, Gideon Moi appealed directly to Kenyans to remain united despite their political differences. He encouraged citizens to recommit themselves to building peaceful, stable, and prosperous country by placing national unity above partisan interests. According to Moi, unity remains Kenya's strongest shield during moments of political tension, and safeguarding that unity should be regarded as a shared national responsibility rather than the work of the government institutions alone. His remarks add another prominent voice to the growing national conversation about political language and public responsibility as preparations for the next general election continue. The timing of Gideon Moi's statement is particularly significant because it comes only a day after the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, commonly known as NCIC, announced that it had formally opened investigations into several prominent practical and also political leaders over allegations relating to hate speech and also incitement. While addressing the media on Tuesday, July 28, 2026, NCIC chairperson Kefa Omae confirmed that the commission had begun investigations involving former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua together with several other high-profile leaders, and among those named by the commission were the Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, Public Service Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Roku, and Busia Governor Paul Otuoma and several members of parliament. The Commission's announcement marked another important development in its efforts to address public statements that could threaten national cohesion or public activity increases across the country. Although Gideon Moi did not directly refer to specific individuals in his statement, the timing of his remarks places renewed attention on the broader national debate surrounding political speech, responsible leadership, and also role public officials play in preserving peace. Kenya has previously experienced periods in which political tensions and ethnic divisions have generated widespread concern, making issues of national cohesion